Benny, before we get going here today, I just kind of, so as I drive around, I like to listen to these podcasts and stuff, right? And I love self-improvement podcasts. I don't know if you knew this
I
about me.
didn't. No, I didn't.
But so
Okay.
last night we're watching Lakers Warriors, absolute unit of a game.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm always fascinated by these athletes and how they prepare themselves. And we were talking about LeBron and how he prepares himself and just all of that, what it takes to be great. So I was kind of curious
Mm-hmm.
before we even get into anything today, to talk to you about, because I'm sure touring and all that stuff, it takes a lot out of you. When you were like prime touring, like, I don't know, a couple hundred dates a year, what kind of motivated you to like keep rocking with it every single day?
Um, well, I mean, I think I don't want to go ahead and sit here and say that like professional musicians are professional athletes because that is a stretch, especially because of some of the shit I've seen. But the thing that motivates it is the same exact thing, which is the ability to do your job at a high level. And I think the thing that touring musicians learn fairly quickly, actually, is that if you need to sustain yourself and you really take the show seriously and you're playing for X amount of hours a night and you're traveling and you're setting up your stuff, there is like a baseline health that you need to have to just be able to function in this environment, especially for the more physical jobs like a drummer or a front person or somebody like that.
Right.
So, I mean, take those two jobs, for example, like those jobs require wind.
Mm,
They require endurance, they require cardio. So, like, there are people who really attack that side of being a musician, is the health side is a big part of it. And I actually sort of wish I had approached it more like that when I was younger, because I realize now just being physically on top of your instrument and having that confidence kind of can trickle off into like other kinds of confidence. You know what I mean? So I do think it's the same way in training. And it's funny you bring this up. I am currently in training.
oh yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, like, like everyone, I've had a pretty wild ride with my body and consumption in the last, 16 to 18 months. It's got, I was kind of keeping my weight down at the beginning because I was like afraid to go shopping.
Mm.
So if we had a meal laid out and the kids still need to eat, I was like, all right, fuck it, I'm not gonna eat. And then 7 would come and I would just drink a scotch. And that's how I was getting through the first few months of this. And then the scotch started going down a little too smooth. My trick was always like I'll buy a top shelf
Yes.
single malt scotch and then I'll sip little cups of it. You know, that worked when you're only drinking scotch like once every couple weeks. But if you're drinking it every night, all of a sudden, really expensive scotch starts to go down a little too easy too. So I realized what was happening and I was like, oh, okay. Scotch is out. Then I think I switched to like winter depression and food for a while. So I'm carrying a little extra weight. I'm fatter than I've been. And Rocky from Mercy Unit asked me a few months ago to come down and do some demos to work on a new record. And man, I hadn't played that much. I was out of shape. And it is one of those things like, as far as like your arms, your wrists, your fingers, your shoulders, your hips, like the things that take like a very constant pounding when you're playing drums, they felt weak,
Mm.
and I felt slow and flabby. And like, and I've been in the process of the last, maybe month, maybe even a little less, of trying to shape this up because Mercy Union's going in the studio in a month and like I got some work to do. So I totally get it. I do it. I definitely learned going through the years with Gaslight that I think I used to like leave for tour. I think I used to pull like a Nikola Jokic. I came in fat and I played myself into shape, like that was what I used to do. But then, there's like a real thing to that, which is like once your band gets to a certain point, you're charging people a lot of money to come see you. And the person at the first show in, Pittsburgh shouldn't get a worse version of you than the person, like 10 dates after that. Like, so I did feel this responsibility to try to deliver like the same kind of show, make it worth coming to, at least make sure that I'm doing my job. So it became a big part of it for me, especially for a band like Gaslight that's such long sets and involves a lot of endurance. I could slack off a little more with a Mercy Union set just because, you know, we're not playing as long, not yet. But yeah, it's definitely a thing. And I'm definitely like fully invested in it. And I have a lot of rules too, like leading up to a show, you know?
Yeah, and I don't know if you also knew this about me. I played soccer at least in the high school range at a pretty high level. I'm talking like 8 days a week, like
Okay.
traveling all over the East Coast. And that was one of the things that, high school me, and I know if you like talk to anybody, oh, go back to high school, I'd want to do anything else again. But you know, that was like the hardest part was like the preparation and making sure that your body was right. And I actually liked it, right? Like the whole like getting like the trainer and like that whole thing.
Yeah.
But it was the maintenance when you were like in it that was like the hardest part. And then I'm the kind of person that gets mentally fatigued. I don't know if that's laziness or stuff like that, but you get in like these like road swings and you're just like,
Right.
goodness gracious, like what the heck is happening here?
It's a funky business.
Yeah, man. Cause then that's like I saw senior year happen and there were like a few opportunities to play at these different colleges. And I was like, dude, I can't do this for 4 more years. So
Mm.
anyway, it's interesting. That's how I ended up in media. And it's interesting.
And with pecs like that.
Oh my gosh. And especially being at Sirius now and being around people all the time that played in the NBA. And these guys still do it. I mean, guys
That's right.
that I work with, like Scal.
Yeah, that's something else I was going to talk about is because like, you know, I used to like working out, but I don't think I really knew how to work out because I didn't play sports past a certain level. And if you don't, you know, you aren't coached and you're not told to train and stuff, like not a lot of people just like get into it totally independently. So when I go to the gym sometimes, like I see people and I'm like, I just don't know how to do that. No one ever taught me how to train like that. I don't know if I'm doing it right or wrong. But the one thing I know for sure is that I got really accustomed to a very extreme release of serotonin
Mm.
and a very extreme sweat and an extreme wind. Like I got accustomed to feeling beat the fuck up after a show where I'd walk up and be like, oh man, I'm tired. And I think when I got home, until I started taking working out into the picture, I think there was a physical void where, you know, you get really accustomed to this cycle that you're going through. And then when you lose it, I think it can actually have detrimental effects. So, yeah, I didn't even have any interest in really working out until I had something to do it for, you know?
And then you stop doing it and you never want to do it again,
Yeah.
dude, it's fucking over.
You gotta keep going. Never retire. It's the kiss of death. Yeah.